Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sara Lubratt and today I'm going to try writing like full-time author Victoria Aveyard. Victoria writes young adult and has written 5 novels and 5 novellas, the most recent novel of which is Realm Breaker. I have yet to actually start reading this book, but I have it on my shelf waiting for me. As soon as I can finish one of the other books that I'm reading, then I will start on this one. But as soon as I picked up this book and I saw how thick it was, I immediately wanted to try her writing routine. And after doing some research, I found out that she is a full-time author. And what that means for her is that she tries to write Monday through Friday, roughly between 10 or 10:30 and 5 or 6. On the frequently asked questions portion of her website, she says, "Because I'm lucky enough to do this as a full-time job, I do try and treat it like a traditional full-time job. I need a schedule, I need structure, so I do my best to work Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. when I can. Obviously, there are breaks in those days and life gets in the way, but it's what I try to stick to. I also protect my weekends as best I can, especially when I'm not under the gun." And as somebody who currently does not write full-time, but I do have a full-time job, but aspires to one day write full-time, I wanted to try writing like her, especially because she structures it or tries to structure it like a full-time job, or mostly a full-time job. I know that technically it's more like 7 hours and not, 8 or 9 plus. But before Victoria begins her writing for the day, she likes to get through her admin work and her emails before her day begins. So much like I did when I tried writing like Sarah J. Maas, I treated my current full-time job as my admin work, and I tried to get as much done this morning as possible so that I could try to write like Victoria Aveyard today. I also have already run to the grocery store, so I feel like I've done plenty to qualify as my admin tasks for the day. And now it is 10:20, which means that I should start writing here soon. But on her Tumblr page, she also says she likes to be in her office working around 10:30 if I'm drafting in parentheses, which I am drafting right now, and it is currently 10:20, which means that I will be beginning here momentarily. So if you go on to enjoy this video of me trying a full-time author's writing routine, please give this video a big thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And now without further ado, let's get into trying Victoria Aveyard's writing routine. Okay, I did one 20-minute writing sprint, which was awesome. I ended up getting 701 words done, which was a great freaking start to the day, but then I had to take a work phone call, which took a little bit longer than expected. But I just started a live stream, which I have not done in forever. And there are so many people here wanting to write today that this is gonna feel so good, and I feel like I'm gonna get so much done. However, it is now 11:45, and I need to make breakfast before I start writing again, but I'm not worried about it. And the intentionality was there and the work call was necessary because that is my job. But overall, things are feeling good. I'm about to start writing here again in just another second. Okay, I now have my smoothie and my little bowl of fruit. That is technically breakfast, but might better be classified as lunch at this point because it is 11:58 now. But I did just want to clarify that I could not find any information on how Victoria Aveyard accomplishes her writing, like if she just sits down and writes for as much as possible during the 7 hours, or if she does writing sprints, or if she uses some other technique. But writing sprints is what often works for me the best, which is why I'm hosting this live stream right now. She also does not host live streams. This was more just a way for myself to remain accountable so that I actually do this today and that I actually try and apply myself and try to write as full-time as possible or as closely to Victoria Aveyard's routine as I possibly can. But with that, it's time to start another very, very quick sprint, and then we'll do some chatting and then I'll launch into another sprint. I did 747 words that sprint. That feels really, really good. Wow, okay, nice. Not bad for technically my second sprint of the day. Feeling solid about that, wow. So during my second writing sprint of today, which was 25 minutes long, I ended up writing 747 words, which brings me up to a current total of 1,447 words today, so far in just 2 writing sprints, which I'm very happy with. The live stream itself is still going really, really well. well. But before I jump into my next writing sprint, I do want to talk a little bit more about Victoria Aveyard's writing routine. And this next question that I found from her Tumblr page asks, what would you say is your average writing count per day when you're drafting? Drafting is what I'm currently doing. I'm working on a story for NaNoWriMo right now, which is National Novel Writing Month, which takes place during the month of November. And I am working on drafting a dystopian right now, which is really, really fun. I'm about 12,000 words in so far, but especially because this question specifies drafting, I wanted to touch a little bit on what her daily word count is. Her answer was, it depends on where I am drafting. I call my style secretariat. I accelerate as I go, and towards the end of this last draft, I was writing over 5,000 words a day for a week or so. It's exhausting, but it works for me, and it's really nice to prove that those days where I can barely manage 100 words aren't the norm. So this isn't super specific, but basically somewhere between like 100 words and like 5,000 words. So I do like how this doesn't seem to be like all that specific in like I shoot for exactly 1,000 words a day or something along those lines. So I like how this really leaves it more open-ended and is more like however much she can get done in the amount of time that she allots to her writing in a day, which is something that I definitely try to focus on. I try to focus on the time and intentionality that I'm putting into my writing rather than the outcome or the word count. And yes, I do still pay attention to word count, but I feel like I feel so much better about my writing when I don't focus on the word count and I more focus on the number of minutes or hours that I can put towards writing in a day. And one of the reasons that I wanted to try writing like Victoria Aveyard, who is a full-time author and writes from like roughly 10 to roughly 5 Monday through Friday, is that I have done some writing experiments in the past and kind of come up with the fact, or at least the past fact, that I have roughly 2 to 3 hours of creative writing energy within a day. Whether or not I use all of that or whether or not some days is less than that is, entirely up to the day on which it happens, which is kind of why I wanted to challenge myself to this today, was to see if I can get past that 2 to 3 hours of creative writing energy. However, in order to actually do that or try to pass that amount, I need to get back to writing. So let's do that. I am now 3 sprints into my writing for the day, and it is currently 1:50 p.m. And I did want to touch on just a couple more questions that I found in interviews with Victoria Aveyard. And one of them is asking, which program do you use to write? And her answer was, I use Scrivener when researching world building and drafting. Once you get the hang of it, it's a great product to keep everything in one place and keep yourself on track. I use Microsoft Word for edits since it's the only program we have that supports the type of editing done in publishing. So I actually don't have Scrivener, but I am drafting in Word right now, but I feel like that's okay because I don't have Scrivener and she technically edits in Word, so I'm gonna let that slide. Another question I found was, what is your favorite part of writing? And her answer was, I love to world build, I love to draw maps and get really into the nitty-gritty of fictional histories. A lot of this part never reaches the page and largely exists to help me metabolize the world as well as find the feel and tone of the story. If you need someone to beat out the trade routes of your fantasy world, I'm your gal. When it comes to actual drafting, I'm all about the set piece. I love writing action sequences. It's such an adrenaline rush for me. I'm really a visual writer, so I usually choreograph the steps either in my head or on paper, sometimes with a song to match. It all combines into a moment I can feel and see and hopefully reproduce on the page for a reader to experience in the same way. I love how she acts things out, and so going into this next scene that I'm going to be writing, I might actually have to try acting some things out just because it's a little bit more actiony than the stuff that I have been writing leading up until this point. And I thought that that was fun that one of her favorite parts is world building, because actually during that last writing sprint I was consulting the maps that I have for this story, and I added a couple more details to these maps which I am super excited about. I love how it's coming together. I love how it's helping me visualize these things better and helping me come up with like a layout of the story almost, which is awesome. I love map making, so I was so happy that world building and map making were a couple of her favorite parts of writing. Okay, it is now 2:25 p.m. I am feeling like I'm gonna have to make myself a snack here in a few minutes, but I just wanted to update you guys on where I'm currently sitting with my writing so far today. So far, I have done 4 writing sprints, 20, 25, 15, 20, and I'm about to start another 20-minute writing sprint. But in those first 4, I have written 2,509 words, which I'm feeling very, very solid with. And it's giving me a great writing burst because I haven't actually written in the past couple of days, but today we're writing and feeling good. And I wanted to touch on 2 more of the questions that I was able to find in interviews with Victoria Aveyard. And the first one is, what is your least favorite part of writing? I know that I said a little bit earlier what her favorite parts of writing were, but her least favorite part of writing is Act 2 of the first draft, which I am close to entering, I think, roughly. Maybe not quite, but I'm definitely getting closer. But Act 2 of the first draft and pitching, I despise pitching because it makes me feel like a lunatic. Explaining your story that pretty much only exists in your head to someone else, no thanks, I sound outrageous. I just thought that was so funny when I read that because I'm like, yeah, that fully captures the emotions. And then another question that she has answered is, do you like to write to music? And her answer is yes. I have a public Spotify account under my name and have dozens of playlists. I generally don't label them clearly until after the work, therefore, is solid. But sharp-eyed readers always manage to pick up on plot clues based on my playlists. I do a lot of brainstorming to music as well, but sometimes I do write in silence. When I'm really dug in, it doesn't really matter whether I have sound or not. I'm in the zone. I hear the story's world, not mine. So I like how she answered this question saying yes, she writes to music, but also she can totally just like not write to music. And if she's really in the zone, whether she's listening to music or not doesn't really matter because she's listening to the story and the story is happening and that's all that matters, which I really, really like. But I was definitely doing some brainstorming when I was driving around earlier today to my writing playlist that I have for Project CF, which is the dystopian that I'm working on. However, I have not been writing to music yet today because I personally don't like writing to music, but I might have to try something for this next sprint. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely started fatiguing around like 3 p.m. It is now 3:23 and I just finished eating a snack. That helped significantly, so I think I was just like low on food. But I have about an hour and a half left of this quote unquote regular workday for Victoria. And I'm gonna do a 10-minute sprint to wrap up this live stream. This live stream has lasted almost 4 hours, which is awesome. And it has been so incredibly helpful to me and motivating me to keep moving forward and continue to write and not give up on this writing challenge or writing experiment of trying to write like Victoria. But that does bring me to wanting to mention how Victoria stays focused on writing, especially when she writes supposedly for, you know, about or up to 7 hours a day, or at least between the hours of 10 and 5 Monday through Friday. And she says the routine helps, not to mention the reality of my situation. This is how I pay my bills and buy dog food. I support myself and I have to work, not to mention I really enjoy doing it even on the hard days. I can always fall back on knowing that this is what I love and what I'm meant to be doing for the rest of my life. I love how certain she is in that. I felt peace when I've read that on her website for the first time. It's just so like beautifully put. Like, yes, the routine helps, the 10 to 5, the Monday through Friday, but that's what she loves doing. And that is how she has to pay her bills and buy her dog food. But she really enjoys doing it. Again, even on the hard days, and she can rest knowing that she's doing what she loves, which is so incredibly inspiring that somebody who has written full-time for a number of years still feels so much happiness in what they're doing. And that just feels really inspiring, again, to somebody who wants to eventually write full-time. I just love how well it's put. Anyways, I'm gonna finish up this 10-minute sprint and then I will talk to you guys again. I am now sitting at 6 total sprints for the day, and I'm sitting at a total of 3,224 words. I just wrapped up and closed out of the live stream. I needed to eat a snack during that last sprint because I
was like starting to realize that like my brain was like, no, we need food before we can keep writing. However, it is now 3:45, meaning that I have about an hour and 15 minutes left or so of this writing like a full-time author schedule, but I do actually need to jump on and do something for my actual full-time job for a few minutes. I'm not totally sure how long that's gonna take. Probably no longer than like 30 minutes, but I do need to do that now, and then I will come back and see how much more writing I can do before 5 o'clock rolls around. I have now finished up the work that I needed to finish up, and it is 4:50 p.m. I didn't start my writing and stuff for the day until 10:30 this morning, so I'm kind of thinking that I'm gonna take this until like 5:30 or 6 to get more of that like true, I'm gonna call it, full day of writing schedule, or to at least be more similar to the 7 hours that Victoria Aveyard tries to stick to. I am working on making dinner right now though, so I will be switching between writing sprints and making dinner. I did take like half an hour to just sit on my couch after I finished up work though, because I felt very tired after I got off of my live stream. And part of that, I'm sure, is talking on and off for the 4 hours that I did live stream. But I think part of it is that today has also kind of just been like a gray and gloomy day outside, and it was sprinkling a little bit earlier. But I also think that daylight savings time is playing into this, because we had daylight savings about 2 days ago for me now. And so now it's getting dark out at like 5:30. So I have like 30 more minutes of quote unquote light, even though it's still gray outside. So it's just getting dark really early today. And I think that's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but I'm gonna take that in stride. I'm gonna work on making dinner, and I'm gonna keep doing a couple more writing sprints. I'm gonna try and do at least one more, but aiming for like 2 more just to see where I can land. And then I will touch base with you guys again. I just finished eating dinner. It is now dark out, obviously, and 5:40 p.m. I'm just gonna do one more writing sprint because I can feel that I just wanna procrastinate and lay on the couch, but I don't wanna call it quite yet. I wanna do one more, and then I'll call it and just chill out. Alright, it is now 6 p.m. Now that 6 p.m. has come and gone, I am considering this writing experiment done for the day. I am definitely exhausted. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I think that's a combination of things, including talking on and off for 4 hours on a live stream, and it being dark and gloomy outside, but also not sleeping super well last night. But I definitely feel like I did when I was working in an office full time, which is kind of an interesting feeling that, to be completely honest, I don't really miss. But I think that if I hadn't talked so much today, and if it had not been so dark out, that I would be feeling much better. And so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, because I do feel really good about what I was able to accomplish today using this writing routine or writing schedule. I did end up doing 7 different writing sprints, but those 7 writing sprints totaled about 2 hours of writing sprints. And during that time that I spent writing, I got 4,012 words. That's like absolutely amazing. And before 6 p.m., I'm normally a night writer. I normally don't finish my writing until like 1 to 3 a.m. So the fact that I'm done at 6 is kind of amazing. I do feel a little thrown off because it is dark out right now, so it doesn't feel like I've gotten a ton done all that early. Again, because it's dark and I normally finish writing when it's dark. Like I mentioned earlier on in this video, a while ago I sat down and figured out that it seems like I have roughly 2 to 3 hours of creative writing energy within me in any given day. And I did want to see if I could do more than that for this experiment, but I also did 4,000 words in 2 hours, and so I didn't feel like I needed to continue to push myself to move past 3 hours. I just thought that was interesting how it still fell within that 2-hour creative window, even though it did fall in a 7.5 hour span. But I did this writing experiment today roughly across like 7.5 hours from 10:30 until 6. And considering that I wrote 4,012 words in 2 hours of writing sprints, I was writing very, very quickly today. And my writing felt really good. I was definitely on a roll. And while I don't have a dedicated office in my apartment, I did do all of my writing today at my desk. desk, which actually surprised me because of how long the window was going to be. I was assuming at some point I would flake or not want to keep sitting in my desk chair and will come sit on the couch. But the only time that I actually came and sat on my couch today was when I had to finish up some work. That was pleasantly surprising, and I do think that that helped me get a lot more done because I remained focused, because I was sitting at my desk trying to get a lot of writing done, and staying in that position I think helped. If you want to be technical with it, 10 to 5 is not the reality of most like in-person full-time jobs, but Victoria Aveyard considers herself to be a full-time author, and these are the hours that she uses. I do love the idea of starting writing at 10 because that's not too early for me, so it's not like actually having this set during like an 8 to 5 or something where I would have to get up and actually start writing at 8. And I do like the idea of writing as a full-time author within the same hours as friends and family that work full-time jobs, so that in the evenings, on weekdays and weekends, you have time free to spend with other people. And I definitely think that if I were able to write full-time, or the day that I eventually get there, that this kind of a schedule would be very helpful for me. Even though I am way more of a night owl, I think that structuring a day of writing like this between 10 and 5 or somewhat similar hours to that would hopefully help me from going absolutely full nocturnal, because before trying this, that's kind of what I assumed writing full-time would look like for me, would just be writing at night and then like sleeping during the day, which does seem a little bit unhealthy and would be much harder to have a social life with. So overall, I actually really loved this writing schedule, and I might have to keep this in mind moving forward and try this a couple more times to see if this is something that I think would be sustainable for me, or at least be able to tweak it into something where I can write during the day if I know that I don't want to stay up super late, or if I'm not going to be available in the evenings. I think that this could be an incredibly helpful tool to help me get to being less of an absolutely late night writer, which again, there's nothing wrong with, but this was a cool writing experiment. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a big thumbs up, because that really supports my channel by telling the YouTube algorithm that you liked my video and that someone else might too. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below what you think your ideal day of writing would look like, especially if you want to be a full-time author or are a full-time author. And if this is somehow the first video that you are finding of my channel and you enjoyed it and you want to see more like it, make sure you scroll down below, hit that big red subscribe button and that little notification bell next to it, because I am posting videos twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sara Lubratt, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!